And martial artists from across the country and the world came seeking to prove their skills and virtue at NTD's competition.
Today is the semifinals here in New York, and joining us for insight into this ancient art is the competition's host, Ben Hedges.
Ben, great to have you with us
Hey guys,
today.
great to be here.
Looking forward to this chat. Let's start with what you noticed most about the competition so far.
Well, this is our 9th competition, and it is an international competition. We hold the preliminaries in Taiwan and in North America. So we have competitors from all over the world, and today is going to be the semi-final. And we sat through the North American preliminary round yesterday, and we had some great contestants, a wide variety of different weapons, from swords to spears to flexible chain whips, and a load of different open-handed styles as well. So we're going to see the best of that bunch in the semi-final today.
And Ben, you've been doing this for a while now. What does it take to win this competition?
Oh, well, in the martial arts, they have a saying, 吃苦当成乐, right? Take bitterness as joy. So to be a martial artist, you really need to go through many years of bitterness, training your stances, your basic techniques, and through that suffering, actually, your martial virtue builds, right? You eliminate your karma, right? In a spiritual sense, they believe the karma is the bad substances in the body accumulated from doing bad deeds, and through a process of training in martial arts, not only do you become, a good fighter, but you also eliminate all that bad stuff from your body and develop your skills. So it's called gongfu in Chinese, and that means a skill obtained through practice.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
It's not something you can think up in some inspiration in an instant. It's just you have to go through many years of hard practice to toil the body, and then you also have a sort of spiritual side, that martial virtue that they talk about.
Yeah, sounds difficult, but very worthwhile. What do you think it can bring to people today who might think about taking it up?
There's a lot of benefits that you can get from practicing the martial arts. Certainly improved, different styles will have different aspects, but you can definitely improve your your blood pressure, your circulation, you can lose weight, you can become strong, just general health and fitness. And then also if you want to go into a more like a spiritual journey with the martial arts, you can do that too.
And martial arts look quite different from, of course, their origination in China because of, like many things in Chinese society, the Chinese Communist Party. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. I can talk about that for a long time, because that's really what our competition is focused on, reviving the traditional Chinese martial arts. In China, you see a lot of what they call 现代武术, like modern martial arts, where they've really just emphasized the surface, right, the movements. And I'll give you a few stories to illustrate this. So this didn't start necessarily under the CCP, but the CCP accelerated it. So in the early 20th century, there's one very representative story you could talk about. There's a guy called Tang Hao, who was a martial arts scholar. And this guy, he was believed at the time to be a communist sympathizer. He also studied in Japan, which was kind of China's enemy at the time. And then he came back to China in about 1930. He joined the National Guoshu Institute, which was their main martial arts institute opened by the government, the nationalist government in China at the time. And he went and did research into the origins of Shaolin and Wudang, which are the two biggest schools in China. Shaolin is linked to the Buddhist religion, and Wudang is Taoist. And the conclusion of his research was that Shaolin Kung Fu, nothing to do with the traditional origin story of the Buddhist monk Bodhidharma, who came to China in the Tang Dynasty, meditated in front of a wall in a cave for 9 years and became enlightened and taught these exercises to the monks. Nothing to do with him. The Taoist school, the Wudang, nothing to do with their traditional founder, Zhang Sanfeng, the immortal, who supposedly lived 200 years. And these were the traditional stories passed down for generations. And he angered a lot of people in China. He then had to resign after a year and said, I'm sorry, I may have offended some people, issued a public apology. But in 1949, when the communists took power, guess whose research they adopted as the party line on the martial arts in China? None other than the same guy, right?
Yeah.
Tang Hao. And so, the CCP seek to separate the martial arts from its religious roots. And obviously, when it has religious roots, they talk more about morality, the whole aspect of martial virtue. And you would also be less likely to change the martial arts, right? To alter the moves. Because if you think, this was designed by some Taoist sage who, a spiritual, cultivator, you're probably not going to change it. You view it as sacred, right? So you're going to treasure it a lot more.
Right.
I can also tell you one more thing about, under the Cultural Revolution, they actually banned the teaching of martial arts in China in many areas, right? So there's another great example. There was a martial arts master called Wang Ziping, and he was born in the late 1800s. He died in 1972. And when the communists first took power in China, they actually supported him. He even came on a trip to Cambodia with Zhou Enlai, the premier, to demonstrate Chinese martial arts in Cambodia, kind of like a soft power trip. So they used these people at the beginning, right? But then in the Cultural Revolution, they actually banned the teaching of martial arts in China, okay? So the high-level masters were not allowed to teach it. It seems that you were still able to practice, like in parks and stuff, but if you were a master, you were banned from teaching. His daughter and son-in-law, they were professors in a university in Beijing, and they were sent to the countryside for re-education through labor. And they were also professors of the martial arts, so they were banished to the countryside. Their daughter, his granddaughter, had to go live with him, and he would teach her the martial arts, his martial arts, in secret at home at night, right? And then in the morning, they would go to the park, and he would sit on a bench, and his granddaughter would teach his students. And if she was, and she would look over her shoulder at him, and if she was teaching it right, he would nod, or he would shake his head. And so this is the lengths people had to go to under the Cultural Revolution just to teach the martial arts. And all the monks obviously were kicked out of the Shaolin Temple for like 10 years. So there's been this huge gap in China of traditional martial arts. And many people just left. Many old masters died without passing on their stuff. And then the modern martial arts, the altered wushu, which is more about performance, is what has taken precedent in China.
Well, Ben, we just have about 30 seconds left. Just love to get your last thought on why this matters today.
Well, just reviving this culture, holding on to it matters with the age of like AI and computer games and stuff. There's a lot of people who are distracted by other things. They're not necessarily interested in eating bitterness and studying kung fu for many, many years.
Right.
But it's so important to preserve it, because if you don't do it, it'll be lost. So that's what our competition is all about. Audience members, if you're interested, you can watch the live stream, which is on NTD's website on the final day tomorrow. We're going to live stream that. And if you go to martialarts.ntdtv.com, you can actually even buy a ticket if you want to go. It's in Manhattan, so you can go in person too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Ben Hedges.